Here's a bit. We're going to talk a little bit about the elements of a perfect game. This is putting on my other hat. I'm taking off my game master as storyteller and putting on my game master as creator, if you will. I'm going to talk a little bit about what makes a game perfect. What is perfect game? And this is not limited to role play. This is involved with every form of entertainment by which we would call a game, from sporting events to anything else that, from checkers and chess to Atlantic Wall or other games. The idea is that you have several things that make the game the perfect game. This can be a perfect game. It can be a perfect session. These are the things that apply to it. First of all, it's got to be something easy to learn. Spend very little time in learning how to play the game in order for the game to be enjoyable. In doing so, this easy to learn element means that the players can start engaging as quickly as possible in the actual participation in the game, and therefore it also needs to have an appealing story. If the game sounds boring, it probably is. It's not going to be as so having an appealing story behind the game, a certain message about the world that the game represents, will provide some stimulus to make the game an exciting one. Now, in a game, to be a perfect game, it also needs to have interesting mechanics. If you have to go down a list of guidelines of what the game does, there's nothing challenging or different about them. The mechanics may fall flat. And while most of us can play in a two-player environment, we can play a chess game or a checkers game and enjoy it. You still have to understand the mechanics, and having differentiation between rule sets really makes for a adventure, that a game's engagement. One of the things that I find particularly fascinating are multipaths to victory, and I'm using victory here not only to represent an overall winner. Games have that. It also refers to different courses of advancement that you may find a victory for yourself and your players, and well, as a player, by being able to choose a different course or different path than others, so that your direction or motive is not so easily viewed. If you look at a game like chess or checkers, there's really one form of victory, and there is. And all those games are engaging. Perhaps to be a perfect game, you need to have a multiplicity of ways to find victory, whether it be have the example, the longest road, or walls, the highest value token, or whatever. These are all different, multiple paths to victory, and therefore your play experience will be different and exciting and challenging. Ultimately, the game has to be playable. If it's a burden, it takes too much time, if there's too much bookkeeping, all of these things get in the way of playability. You want it to feel fast, have it feel exciting and interesting, and something that a person would want to be a part of. Now, put one here that I just now have to figure out my own acronym. We have to definitely. Oh gosh, what did I put down? Healthy and fun, MWYN. Make what you need. No, that's not it. Ha 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 ha. I don't even know what that is. I'm going to have to come back to it because I forgot my own acronym. That's funny. I'm sure it'll hit me here in a minute, but in the meantime, we need to talk about the collaborative elements. If the game is only strictly competitive and strictly only aggressive towards your co-players, it makes it less enjoyable. So you want to have some, at least, portion of the elements that make the elements of play enjoyable, because you're sharing and interacting, building towards a. The next thing is you need to have some form of replay potential. So if the same condition came back around at some other point, you want to be able to enjoy a second time through. Now, this is particularly in the case for your shorter tail, your single shot game. You want to be able to make it something that can be played again or at least be remembered again. And so the replay potential, whether it be in play or in the memory of the players, something that the players will want to engage with again and again. Now, when talking about tabletop games, another thing that I look at is bits quotient. And that's the number of pieces you have that you can use for other purposes. Really clever little playing pieces that can be used for, say, tokens in another game, or might be used as representative of kingdoms in a game. These are all high value games because even if your original playthrough of the property doesn't feel right, at least the bits quotient gives the game a greater lifespan. I really don't know what MWYN is. So anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone to the mystery of next week. Finally, the one thing you have to also look at is what are the overall game optics. I'm rather guilty of this and that because I play a lot of games that are in theater of the mind. The optics are stemming from players' interaction with the narrative as they're hearing the location and they're playing along with what the story is. These optics of the game really give the opportunity for the players to actually experience, feel, and see the world as it. And so a perfect game will have all of these aspects. It'll be easy to learn, great story, mechanics, pathway to victory, so on. And by having all of these things, you make your game session the ultimate session. Now we're going to switch over